Hey, this is Matthew Harvey here with the 12 o'clock siren, recording live at the 903 Broadband Studios on the Cowboy Corner on the southeast side of the downtown Leonard Square. On my left hand is James Gerrymander Hartley.
Yeah. What are we, 7 days? 7 days?
8, I think.
8 days? Yeah.
8 days away.
We voted?
I did vote.
Man, I haven't yet.
I did.
I'm failing. I need to get over there. Probably do that tomorrow.
My wife and I went the other day to the Civic Center or whatever it is in Greenville, and stood in line outside of the building, which oddly enough was going into the parking lot in the sun, when we could have just sat on the sidewalk in the shade that wrapped around the building.
Was there any like West Side Story, like gang fights?
No, nobody really talked, and everybody stood their 6 feet distance for the most part. I have a hard time doing that.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm always creeping up on the next person when I shouldn't be, just out of,
Somebody might cut. You don't want to get.
Exactly. Or you're the guy that everybody walks through or drives through. Yeah. In our case, we're in the parking lot.
Oh, it's been a minute.
It has been
a couple weeks,
but we are back with a campaign series.
Yeah.
We're continuing our campaign series. Last time was in the wintertime. Was that like midterm elections or something?
It was the initial mayoral and justice.
That was it.
Justice of the peace? Was that it?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. Anyway.
That was what we interviewed anyway.
Yeah.
But we have a local city council candidate, Mr. Noel Nixon.
How are you doing, Noel?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for coming in. Good to see you.
I like doing that. So y'all, is it Tuesday as well for y'all, or Wednesday, or when's the election?
Yes, Tuesday.
Gotcha.
And early voting ends Friday.
Oh yeah, man.
Early voting ends Friday, and that is the 30th.
Yeah,
that is correct.
So then
Saturday.
the next chance to vote will be election day,
right?
Which is Tuesday, the 3rd.
That's correct.
Yeah.
All right.
Which is 7 days from now, right?
That is.
Yeah.
Today being
Tuesday.
Sure. All right.
Yeah.
We're off to a start here.
Oh man, that's nothing new.
City council.
That's correct.
Is the seat you're running for?
Yes.
Give us catch us up on Noel Nixon and your relationship with this town.
Noel Nixon's lived here over 30 years. My parents moved here just west of town, and they bought some land and moved here from the Louisville Colony area. That's where I came to school, met my wife, Teresa, and we've raised our children here. We live in a couple houses here inside city limits. We just love the town, love this place, and love the people, and that's why we've stayed around that long.
Cool. What age were you when you came here?
I was 17.
Okay. So that's, you completed high school here?
Yes. Well, my parents moved here as my senior year.
Okay.
Yeah. So
where'd you move from?
The Colony, Louisville area. Yeah.
Thanks for walking away there for a second.
It was hot.
It was hot. You just turned the heater down.
It was a little toasty. Thank you.
Yeah. We it's our first day of cold weather here.
Yeah, right.
We've all gone a little overboard.
I think so.
This out.
I'm wearing a beanie currently, so yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Senior year, you move into Leonard, Texas. Leonard, Texas. What was that? 80.
That would have been the summer of '87. So
87.
Yeah, I graduated in '88.
Okay. I was starting school then.
I'm sorry?
I think I started school then.
Sounds
I
like
think
a
it was
good
87,
song.
88.
Right.
Summer of '87.
Yeah.
Good song.
What was Leonard like then? 87.
For me personally, it was a little culture shock coming from a larger city. But then it grew on me quickly, and of course, never knowing any different. And I really just fell in love with the place.
Yeah.
And I've been here ever since. So,
cool.
Like I said, it was a little shocking coming from a big town. Big Friday night lights to small
Friday night lights.
Friday night lights, and but I tell you that football team that year was really good.
Yeah.
And I was very impressed when I came here, and was able, honored to play on that team too. They were solid.
So that was class of '88 then, I guess?
That's correct.
So what'd you do directly after school?
Directly after school, I went into the Texas Army National Guard.
All right. Where was your...
I know you're a guardsman.
Yeah, I'm a guardsman.
Hoorah.
Where was your unit?
So I was in the 49th AD out of McKinney.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So not too far away then.
That's correct.
I wonder if that's still there.
No, they moved it to Wiley,
Okay.
and I believe they're still over in Wiley.
What'd you do in the Guard?
I went in as a tank system mechanic,
Gotcha.
and then specialized in recovery.
Okay.
So-
Oh, yeah.
The M88s.
I watched that on a Dirty Jobs episode. Micro, they did the
I saw that
recovery.
too.
Yeah, it's
that's
pretty
cool.
gnarly.
Pretty cool.
What are you recovering?
Anything that's stuck in the mud
Ah.
or in a river or something.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Tow truck for tanks.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a cool job. Yeah, I guess back then it was the tanker division. What is it? Not artillery, but
just an armor division.
Armor.
Ballistic.
God,
Armored division.
leaving my words are leaving me. They have now, it's no longer armor. It's infantry.
Right.
Now. They got rid of all
Right.
their tanks.
Mhm.
Although there is a unit down south of Austin that still has some tanks. So just a little info for
Right.
those out there that care. I'll shut up now.
Sorry, I'm military kind of ignorant.
So am I. I've been in for 17 years.
I was no help. I was like, ballistics.
Yeah.
I did a 4 and 2 stint. 4 years and then two inactive.
Two inactive. Cool.
6-year
Yeah.
Nice.
term.
Yeah, enlistment.
Tour.
Enlistment, yeah.
Enlistment. There we go.
Right.
Yeah,
Nice.
I did a 4-year, and then it turned into this, and turned in, and I looked up, and I'm like, oh, all right, well, I'm close enough to retirement now.
Thank you for your service.
Oh,
Appreciate
thank you for your service. Absolutely. So after that, you did that for a while. What did you do anything in the meantime, or you just concentrated on that?
No, I just concentrated on that. Had the first child, Hayden, and realized that my enjoyment meter pegged out, and it's time to raise a family and be at home more with those guys, and so I just went ahead and retired and moved on. Found a job and just been working ever since. So.
Nice.
Cool. What have you been doing?
So I've actually the last 20 years been working in the education system. Started here as the maintenance and transportation director at Leonard, and worked there 5 years, and then received a call from Frisco ISD in 2005, and went for a job interview, and it worked out, and I've been there ever since. And it's been one of the fastest growing school districts in the nation for the last 15 years. We've built literally, it's hard to believe, 3 to 4 new schools per year for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Goodness.
So
6 high schools.
no, we're getting ready to build our 12th.
Oh my God.
Right.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
That's crazy.
12th high school in
Right.
Frisco.
That's correct.
Holy smokes! I didn't.
It's been growing fast.
I moved from Frisco
Oh,
technically
I've
7 years ago.
never seen anything like it.
God.
The growth when it hits, it's amazing.
Well,
Huh.
that's kind of what the impetus behind this conversation is.
So
Like
6.
you're running for city council, and I think growth is a big topic on everybody's mind right now, because Leonard is in the path, and we're all kind of curious when and how COVID's kind of messed things up. I'd seen an estimate that in 5 years, Leonard was estimated to be at 6,000 people population. That's a different town than what we're used to. you
Yes,
know?
sir. I believe it's going to happen too. And, I've been driving up and down 121 for a long time.
Just see it slowly encroaching.
Every year.
Yep.
Just a few more stoplights heading this way, so it's coming.
Well, it's funny. For a long time, McKinney was kind of the barrier, and you had Melissa and Anna right there and all that, and it seemed like it all kind of stopped at McKinney. But now Melissa even starting to look. They got new fast food restaurants popping up, and
Right.
I didn't know they were still building Burger Kings, but
Yeah.
I
Of
got
all
one.
of them, they put a Burger King there.
yeah.
How are your thoughts on Burger Kings? What if a Burger King came here? We got to keep that out of here, right?
Yeah,
just kidding.
I agree, man. I don't want that Whopper.
Well, as a candidate here, we'll accept just about anybody. Okay.
No, that's eventually one day we're going to have these conversations, and we're going to talk about it and chew the fat on it forever. But one day we're going to look up and we're going to go, oh.
Well,
Yeah,
I've
here it
always,
is.
since we moved out here at night at my parents' house, it's really dark, so you can see all the light pollution from
Yeah.
Dallas onward. And I remember looking at where it kind of lined up on the horizon when I was a kid, and you can tell that pollution, the light pollution, that's speaking of it like it's bad.
You can say it.
All that light has grown steadily, further north. It's kind of
Yeah, it is.
cool.
Yeah,
to
I
see.
agree with
wish
you.
I
I
had
see
a
it
time
too.
lapse of that.
Yeah, I see it too.
So what are some of the challenges you see now? Like let's just get into it, shall we?
Just gonna dive right in.
Yeah, just dive in.
Well, it's a small town, right? And so resources not that great right now.
Yeah.
So that's the number one challenge, is having the resources to be able to financially sustain
Yeah.
the city.
Sure.
Okay, we all know the streets. We all drive down them. They need a good.
Yeah, they need a once
They need
over.
a good. They need a good program.
Yeah.
You know, I know filling potholes is one way of maintaining the streets, but we really need to get a little more serious into a street program here.
Sure.
I'm not sure really how to do that. I've never developed one, but I'm ready to work with other council members to achieve that plan.
Sure.
If it means going out to get a engineered specification on how to build a street, I'll just be the first one to tell you I don't know how to build a street.
No, yeah.
I want to rely on someone else, right? But get those specifications from an engineer, put them out there, spend tax dollars wisely, spend them right one time, do it right, and let these streets last for a while.
You're talking
know,
our language.
Contract it out to people that build streets,
Yeah.
right, that have the experience. And then also I'm open to buying equipment, looking at both sides.
Sure.
For maintaining
Sure.
if they have the experience to build a road or street, whatever, then yeah, we'll put them to work. We'll do it. But we got to develop a program. We can't, I don't know, just filling potholes.
So I had
that
heard.
might lead into this first question. I googled 10 questions to ask a councilman or
Right.
person running for local office. This might lead into it. Do you think downtown and Main Street, because Main Street's particularly rough, is healthy and successful? If not, why, and what would we need to do to change that?
Can you define what you mean by healthy and
Yeah.
successful?
I mean,
You want to take
It's
that?
pretty
Yeah.
broad
well,
Sure.
question, but
These are probably aimed at a bigger
yeah,
town
these are
or
the
city.
Prospers, I bet.
Yeah.
Aubrey's.
Yeah.
I would say our downtown is a bit anemic, right? I mean, it's it could use some life. It's definitely better than it was 10 years ago, right? I mean, I remember even 5 years ago when I moved back, it was pretty rough. You
right.
know?
So what I'm hearing is, could it be better? Well, sure it could. We have some empty spaces out here, right? We could attract other businesses, and again, we already talked about the streets.
Yeah.
Improving
Well,
the
that
streets
was
to
my
get
lead
here,
in. I
right?
drive down Main
Sure.
Street, and it's
pretty rough,
almost,
right?
Yeah, it tears up my
Just
suspension.
about any street. You don't any one of them. You just
But
pick
that's Main Street,
right.
Yeah.
Pick a street,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we could improve. The city as a body or as a council, that they can do certain things, and provide the infrastructure, provide the stuff that businesses or entrepreneurs or whatever to be successful to move onto the square, right? But as far as the city itself putting businesses in there, you work with your economic development board, your 4B.
Right.
You work with your chamber of commerce. You listen to your citizen. It's a collaborated effort. It's going to have to be
Sure.
to make it better. Everybody's all in. We have a unique city square in this area. We all see it.
Oh yeah.
We all see its potential. We just all got to put our heads together and figure out a way to make it happen, and start filling some of these. Everybody wants to move out on the highway. That's where all the traffic is, right? But we have something unique here and something special. And
You could draw some traffic.
absolutely.
That I go to Colorado every year for vacation. We always go to the same spot. We go to Pagosa Springs. It's in southwest Colorado. Small town. It's actually their year-round residents. It's actually a little smaller than Leonard. Now, it's a resort town. I mean, because you got the ski resort there, and you got their hot springs, so it's a tourist town. But they have the infrastructure that supports all those people. So you have a lot that keeps the the citizens of Pagosa in town. Like a lot of us go out somewhere to, a nice place to eat or a movie theater.
People that live there, work there.
Yeah.
Supporting the tourism
Right.
in industry is what they have.
Yeah, and they do. But, part of my wife and I's conversation, we always want to move there every year. We go and we're like, you have everything you need right here. Now, in Leonard, we don't have a ski resort. We don't have hot springs to come to. But I bet if we did a little bit better of a job of getting some of these people in here and whatever that takes, I think we'd see some positive benefits from that. That's just my opinion.
No, I agree totally. Just wasn't too long ago, Bug Tussle, when they all the antique cars they drive through.
Yeah, yearly drive.
They used to stop here.
Right, they didn't this year.
They drove right through, and I thought I stopped on the square and watched them come through, and I thought maybe they'd stop, and they just went. I wasn't sure why.
Right.
Just those sort of things pop into my head.
Yeah.
And that's just one event. It could be a stop for them if the city were to. Just certain things that people can do or groups can do to have more events scheduled to attract people to the square. Just one thought that came to mind.
That's what I've said about Bonham does the quilts, the barn quilts.
Mm-hmm.
There's a trail.
Yeah,
Apparently somebody made a quilt
trail.
trail, and it's their little way to get people to come into town. They'll look for these barn quilts on the side of random buildings, and people take pictures of them. Or I don't know what the end game is on it, but anyway, you find them, take pictures of them, then go to Savoy, and they've got them in Savoy or whatever the next town is.
Hector,
one of the two, yeah.
That's kind of similar to your scavenger hunt, really.
Yeah,
right?
it's really yeah.
And I'm honestly, the whole Bug Tussle and the car thing, we should get on that and reach out to those people.
A scavenger hunt is a great idea. That's just another innovative way to bring people here.
Yeah, I'm working on part 2 of that.
Yeah, man, I'll be honest.
And I think it's gonna work.
That's awesome.
Matthew and I, we throw a lot of ideas at each other. We're just always like, we work out up here and stuff and hang out a lot, and we're always throwing ideas back and forth. And he came up with a scavenger hunt, and me being a supportive friend, I was like, yeah, man. In my head, I was like, I don't know if that's going to work. But day one, opening day, I came up to support, and there were so many Jeeps. I was like, man, I'm glad I never doubted that vocally, but I definitely,
there truly is a Jeep thing.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, a lot of them.
It blew my mind.
Bunch
I was
of them
like,
out there.
Man, here I was doubting Thomas, and
hey,
it
you never know.
So this question, I don't really think there's a right or wrong answer here, but what do you see as more important here? Building new homes and commercial properties, or rehabbing what we already have? Yes, no, maybe, either. I don't really know that there's a right, like the storefronts and stuff. It's probably a balanced approach, maybe.
It is, and it's a combination of things. The housing market here needs to improve, and also the commercial buildings, could use a little facelift too.
Sure.
Is that the city's responsibility per se? I'm not so sure 100%.
Sure, yeah.
The city's responsibility, in my opinion, is to make sure the infrastructure is sound.
Sure.
Working for the people, whether it's, the waste treatment water facility, the domestic water, your streets. Those things are the infrastructure that I'm interested in improving, because, guys, it's failing.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to avoid the question.
No, I got it.
But those are the things that is pretty much my platform while I'm running, is to work on those things, to get ready for the growth that we talked about earlier that's coming, and hopefully it's competitive, right? So geographically, I hate to say it, Trenton's in a better location.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So we're competing with those guys, right?
Sure.
Oh.
Are we going to be ready with our infrastructure before Trenton? I'm going to see to it that we are.
Right.
And so as investors, people come this way, even though we may not be in the best geographical location, we're going to be ready for them.
Absolutely.
And they'll choose us over them. That's basically how it works. Yeah. It's competition.
Well, it's an ROI there too. I know Trenton has some infrastructure problems too, and if a contractor wants to come in and build a 100-home subdivision, can their sewer lines handle
Exactly.
it? You know, and if they can't, and ours can, well, we'll go on down the road 6 miles, and then
That's it.
What does every town need? Good water and good sewage, something like that.
yeah, good water, good streets, good sewage.
That's it.
Streets and water are what I hear complaints about the most, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't live here.
It's
but
very important.
it seems to be.
It's one of those things that when it's working, no one hears about, but when
Right,
it
yeah, yeah.
fails, it's a major problem.
Of
Right.
course. Yep.
So if you had like a magic wand, and but you got one shot, what would your first shot out of the gun be that you could just fix?
Man, I'd like to fix the streets.
Yeah, I think that's the one that's
I
most.
served on the council in the early '90s, 2 terms,
Okay.
and
I was going to ask that, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah. We attempted to not attempted. We did, and Darvin Nolan did a great job. He was one of our best city managers, in my opinion. We butted heads like most city managers and council members do, but we did get some things accomplished, and he bought some equipment, and we actually did lay down some asphalt on the streets,
Right.
and we did it with city employees. They did the best they could. They weren't professionals building streets or anything like that.
Sure.
That's just something we added to them, and they graciously accepted it, the challenge, and tried to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
It was better than it was, but it didn't last as
Not
long as
long-lasting.
yeah. We didn't quite get the life out of them that I
wanted to see.
wanted to see. So,
Yeah.
I would love to get these streets in great shape. Again, the second thing, we got major problems, guys, with our wastewater treatment facility, which we're in the process of making some improvements to it. Still got some more work to do down there. And then, of course, our domestic water. We really need to look at the capacity. We really need to look at this improving our water tower. We've sunk a lot of money into it here
Yeah.
recently, into a very old water tower and
Right.
above ground storage facilities, and they're leaking. They're showing their age, so we need to look into that.
At some point, you got to decide whether it's worth putting lipstick on it or
Yeah.
just going ahead and biting
Yeah,
the bullet.
that's where we're at.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm right there with my truck.
I think we all are.
Yeah.
no kidding.
Well, so I, to go back to the streets, though, I do think that's the first thing people are going to notice, whether it's residents or visitors or whatever. I mean, it's funny when you take your kids to school in a normal year. Take your kids to school and you can see people dodging the pot. It's like trucks are on autopilot. You
Right.
just know because you've driven it so many times. You can see the line in front of you dodging potholes.
My next 2 questions don't necessarily apply to us because they have to do with public transportation, which we don't really
Sure.
worry about, and traffic, which we don't really worry about. However, just a weird question: when do you foresee the first traffic light in this town? Just an oddball question.
I have an opinion on that. Go ahead, Noel.
Yeah.
Well, if you've ever been out, I don't know, your kids go to school here, but if you talk to someone they've taken their kids to school
Yeah.
and everyone's arriving at the same time,
I don't experience morning Leonard like that, so
I never thought that there would actually be a traffic
Congestion.
jam or
Yeah.
congestion or a long wait to get in there. My kids are grown and gone, but my wife still works up there, and I was late for work one day and going to bring the guy, not late for work, but
Sure.
bring him breakfast to his wife. So I brought her breakfast, and it took forever
Yeah.
to get
Where-
in there. And I was like, wow,
where
that's
exactly?
really changed. Just at the intersection of, I guess it's 69 there and
78.
78.
Yeah.
78
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
what I was grapping about.
corner of Lee's and the
Earlier.
field house.
Yeah.
S-
And then just trying to navigate back to the schools.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
It's
so
just busy.
I come in from Bailey and I have to hit that stop sign. And one time I waited 10 minutes. Like
Yeah,
10
for real.
minutes in Leonard is an eternity. You know? Like,
I've actually waited a long time down here at 78 and 69 off the
Yeah.
square.
Yeah, you do.
Just during the day. It's
Yeah.
odd.
I mean, over the years, I've had to wait longer at stop signs than ever.
Caught myself
All right.
taking shortcuts
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
in Leonard.
now I've known a couple of civil engineers and their opinion is, hey, traffic lights come with their own set of problems.
Mm-hmm.
So
They
that's
do.
something to
I
consider.
embrace not having it. I love,
Sure,
I love
sure.
not having them, but I figured it's time's coming.
Well,
Time's
did you
coming.
notice the turn lane that was recently
All the way
put
through.
in? So
right, yeah.
I kind of pushed for that, my wife and I. When B&B closed and they moved the one grocery store. I live on Trinity Street.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the grocery store there, and then Domino's goes in. So all of the seemed like everything kind of
It ended right there at the
south,
vet,
right?
didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's right there, the street that we turn on. So when it was just 2-lane, and you're sitting out there making a left-hand turn
You're blocking traffic.
in the cell phone era,
yeah.
I told my wife, you better be looking at that rearview mirror and get ready to floor it,
Yeah.
Right.
because you're going to get rear-ended right there. So we reached out to TxDOT, talked to them, worked with them, and for quite some time, they did a study and ended up eventually when they
That was right before
they
the
restriped everything.
right
and
before
so-
the Leonard picnic.
Yeah, it was great. It's great. I mean, and we're so fortunate. TxDOT did a great job putting that in for us, and I think it made it a little safer out there on the highway.
Well, I would agree with that. I know that the lane ended. Was it right after?
Right there, at
Right after the
272.
market, or right after the vet
Uh,
when you turn left?
the turn lane, the center turn lane. I believe it goes all the way to 272.
Now.
Yeah, now.
Yeah.
But there wasn't one before. It was
Right.
just 2 lanes
Yeah.
through there. Yeah.
That one caught me off guard a couple times.
Yeah. So, you know, in this day and age where everybody's got cell phones and Zoom calls and whatnot, is there any sort of plan, or do you think about putting any sort of plan and getting the residents more involved with the decision-making process?
Absolutely. You know, as a candidate and as a previous council member, I listen a lot. I work for the people. I listen to what they have to say. You know, I would love to get these meetings changed to a decent time for people to attend them.
Right.
I mean, they start at 5:30. That's
Mm.
pretty early for a lot of people that work out of town.
Yeah.
Just to get in and
We have a hard time getting podcast interviews at that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So moving it back a little bit, I think might encourage some people to attend the meetings so they can voice their opinions and we can hear them. You know, I think this is a great thing you're doing here to get information out to the public. Of course, the city's website and then the city newspaper or our local newspaper.
Do they put the agenda out on the website now? Because
yes, they do.
I need to go follow it.
And
I guess.
they post. They're required by law to post it on the door too.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's on the city council door.
Got it. Yeah, I think posting it on the door, that's I mean they should do that, but it is a different world now. I haven't been up to that door in a long time,
Right,
you know.
sure.
So
I used to work for a company that did indexed city council meetings per the agenda.
Oh,
So they would go in and install cameras in the chambers, and then we could direct the city council meeting from, like we did Austin's city council meeting. So you're choosing the camera and recording it, and then you break it up per the agenda. Like, so if you just want to see about one item, you click on that and you just watch that.
Well,
it's kind of cool.
Due to the pandemic,
Mm.
some of the council meetings, you know,
oh yeah,
had to be, you know,
virtual.
viewed that way, virtual.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's another way that we can do that. We can set up the same thing you're talking about and stream it live, whatever, so people can watch from home if they are not able to make it out. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways to reach the citizens and get their opinions and listen to their concerns.
Yeah, I'd like to see a little bit more. This goes for me too. I didn't make any of them. I live out of town, so I don't have the vote, but obviously my life revolves around Leonard. So I'd like to see a little bit more participation, myself included, just in just a knowledge base. Like, I don't think anybody has to have strong opinions about it, but come and get involved and see what's going on. You know, I think that only
How
be
many
better
minutes
for
do you
us.
get per open? Was it open forum?
Yeah, it's just open forum. You can
Do they
get on
limit-
you can obviously contact the city and get on the agenda and
Yeah.
you have as much time as
What do they allow? Like, what's the limit?
I think it's like 3 minutes,
3.
something like
It
that.
varies town to town, and
Sure.
Austin in particular
Oh man,
had some of the best open forums you've ever seen, because we'd have to sit there and watch these live meetings while they record, and they had a guy on there that would come on and he would just a few people, funny stuff,
yeah.
because they just use their time however they want, you know, whether it's city related or not. Anyway,
All right. So when you get like a proposal, you know, to build a piece of infrastructure, be it water or road or whatever, what's kind of the process that it goes through to determine whether it's a good investment or needed?
So that's a very good question. there's a procurement process the state of Texas has. And so being a municipality, taxing entity, that has to be bid out, right? If you're going to contract something like that out. And earlier when I stated getting professionals, engineers to specifically tell you how to build this road.
Yeah. So it goes to like RFP or whatever.
RFP, CSP, whatever the method, the procurement method you choose, and you put it out for bid. And so at that time, you get your bids back, and there's generally an evaluation phase that the council should go through to evaluate the bidders.
Right.
May not necessarily be cost is the most important factor of their bid, but it's obviously going to
Sure.
have the most weighted average, right?
Oh, yeah,
'Cause that's,
absolutely.
That's the most important.
Yeah.
And so after all of the vendors or contractors are evaluated, at that time, then the council will make a decision on who they're going to choose to build your street.
Sure.
And that's kind of how the procurement method takes place. And the other way is I'm still open to our city employees, finding out what their experience is on building streets and
Sure.
running equipment and whatnot. It might be a better value for the city to do it in-house versus contracted out.
Sure.
But you got to weigh both of it.
Well, yeah, skill sets and
Sure.
experience and all
Sure.
that.
And then make sure that we're stretching that tax dollar as far as we can. Those streets have to last.
Speaking my language there.
It's a large investment.
Now, this isn't I don't want to put you on the spot here, and I'm not going to ask who you're voting for, but your thoughts on government in general, like you're saying things like stretch your tax dollars. When you think of that, do you, as far as fiscally anyway, you tend to be a little bit more conservative there, and want to be a good steward of those tax dollars? You don't feel like just throwing money at everything.
That's correct.
All right,
That's
I like
that's
that.
correct. I'm a conservative.
Yeah.
I've kind of cut my teeth in the education industry working in Leonard ISD.
Sure.
Great place to work. But as with the city of Leonard, it has its challenges because you don't have a lot of resources to meet all the requirements that
The state puts on you. Yeah.
Exactly. So you learn to do more with less. And that was a very valuable experience and lesson that I learned early on in my career in the education industry. And I've taken that with me to Frisco, even though they have a lot of resources. I still use that same philosophy.
Sure.
And I'll continue, as if I'm elected, to use that same philosophy here.
Yeah.
With the city.
Well,
Jerry Jones money.
yeah.
I think is what you're referring to there.
Right.
Yeah, I call it corporate welfare, but
Sure,
exactly.
you can call it Jerry money if
Yeah,
you want.
a lot of it's Jerry money.
A lot of it's
now.
Jerry money now. Yeah. No, I think best intentions, maybe a lot of government ideas. There's you get the good idea fairy, and it kind of just builds on itself. But even being up here where we're doing the podcast, talking to Matthew about how trying to get this building squared away and things he's doing, it's just difficult, whether it's the city or the county or the state. There's just so much red tape you got to jump through and so many hoops, and it's not intuitive. It's not there's not a workflow that you can follow. It's, well, I think you got to talk to Jim Bob. You go talk to Jim Bob, and he's like, well, I'm not really the guy, but I'll kind of get you, and it's just difficult. So I'd like to see some of that.
Well,
Condensed.
if you had an opportunity to read my questionnaire in the Leonard graphic, one of the questions was about transparency. We don't have that, in my opinion, right now, and I'd like that to improve.
Sure.
So when someone is coming in, like you,
Right.
wanting to do something, you know what to expect from the city. You know, and it's treated the same across the board,
That's a big one too. Yeah.
right? And that's the transparency that you know what your permit fees are going to cost. You know what codes that you're going to have to follow. Everyone knows up front what that is. And I'm not sure that we're totally there. And I think that kind of addresses what maybe your question was.
Yeah, it was more just a rant. That's all.
Yeah. But you're not the only ones. I've made every single council meeting for the last 2 years, and I hear other people saying the same thing. It's not just you guys. So
Well, I mean, I know there's times, and again, I don't, the current council members are great, and so I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but some people get stuck with regulations and some people don't,
Right.
and that there's got to be some horizontal consistency.
I was about to say consistency and transparency
Exactly.
are the two things.
Yeah, and that transparency, that sunlight's the best disinfectant, so just get it in there. And
I agree totally with you guys. And that comes, that mainly comes from your city administration.
Sure.
Not so much from the council
Right,
per se.
right.
The council can collectively give the information to the city administration for them to follow and administer.
Sure.
And I'm not sure that's been done, but it's something that I'm going to encourage.
Sure.
To help work with the people and work with the business owners to get things moving a little better. I understand you still have to meet codes. There's certain health department codes. There's no way around that, right, guys?
Sure. Yeah.
You
of course.
got to develop smart.
Yeah.
You got to grow smart. So
Yeah. I mean,
there's
we want
some
to
things you have to do.
Do you know the process on that, like on certain codes that they're adopted through the city and suggested by the state? The state has certain, health.
Yeah, I have a little bit of experience with that. When I served on the council in the 90s, I also was the P&Z chairman and created the planning and zoning for the city too, because we didn't have anything
right.
at that time. And so you basically have code. The city council adopts like I know City of Frisco has like the 2018 International Building Code, IBC.
Right.
There's certain fire codes that, 2013, National Fire Code. There's certain things that cities adopt that work best for that city at that time. And it can change as the growth comes in or whatever. And cities can adopt those codes, but they're out there at their disposal. You just got to choose which one works best for you and your town and your city in order to grow and prosper.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was a little bit of, sway in that.
Leniency.
Yeah. Or at least discretion.
Yeah.
So I would pick the one that has the least bull crap.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah. Sometimes Big Brother can get in your business a little too much.
Too
I
much.
agree with that. So,
Speaking of fiscally conservative, are there any steps you might take to get Leonard into a better financial standing?
Are we even in bad financial
no,
standing?
no, absolutely. Yeah, I was getting ready to say that we're not. We're in good shape.
I'm not saying we are. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
no. We can
we're-
always do better.
We're in good shape.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, you're right about that. The city's in good shape financially. But one of the things I always say is, what do you mean exactly in good shape financially? Because there's a lot of things that need repair.
Right. So you got money in the bank, but
It's relative, yeah.
You can be in great financial shape if you're not taking care of business.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the challenging part of it. If you're out there working, providing the citizens and the taxpayers what they expect and deserve, you may not have as much money in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the challenge comes in. Okay, so that's where it takes smart financial planning. You need a short range plan. You need a long range plan.
Sure.
You got to know where you're going before you get there. Instead of just flying by the seat of your pants.
Well, and I think,
And I'm not saying that that's what's
I got you.
happening. I'm
Yeah.
just saying that's my philosophy on,
sure.
Moving forward financially, with making sure we budget for things. There's a lot. I'm telling you guys, there's stuff that I've seen approved, large ticket items that weren't budgeted.
Right.
The budget has to be amended. You have to account for those things,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
right?
You don't want to just levy a new tax or something, And I think too, people, if they see, okay, town's in great shape financially, we need some work done. As those community improvement projects happen, and they see the council or the administration being good stewards of their money, people are less likely to bemoan having to come out of pocket, or if people see that their money is being used wisely, it's not such a pain when you write that check at the end of the year.
They see the fruit of their labor. They're driving around these streets too.
Right.
They like for their toilets to flush and, water to flow out of their spigots just like I do. So, yeah, those are things that when they're working, it's great. And again, like I said before, those are very important items. When they're working, you don't think about them.
Right.
Take them for granted, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then when they don't, it's a major inconvenience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I don't know how old this infrastructure is, but a lot of it's old.
Yes, sir, it is.
And I mean, I know there's probably like lead water pipes and stuff,
No, there is. There is, and there's clay lines, sewer lines that have collapsed. And guys, they bought it's called a pipe bursting machine 2 years ago.
Yeah.
$60,000 piece of equipment. It hasn't been used yet.
That's interesting.
Okay, so for whatever reason, I'm sure they have a very valid reason why they haven't done that. But
Sure.
what happens when your sewer lines fail and it rains? You get water infiltrating into your system, which goes down to your wastewater treatment facility.
And you said there's some problems with that, huh?
Yes, there is.
So-
And TNRCC only gives you so many gallons of water that you can treat per
Right.
the size of your city.
Mm.
So when you start getting this infiltration into your sewer plant that exceeds what's allotted by the state, you got a problem.
Yeah.
So to correct that problem, you got to go and identify where those lines are broken or separated. And the way you do that is in the summertime when everything dries out. It's hotter than Hades out there.
Right.
You smoke test your lines. And you see where the smoke's coming up through the ground because you got the cracks all in them.
Cool.
And you know exactly where your line,
I like doo-doo.
Yeah.
you know where your lines are separated and you need to close those up. Well, the plan was on the pipe boring machine,
Pipe blowing,
boring.
boring.
So this machine will go in once you identify the line. If it's a clay line,
Yeah.
right, that's busted or pulled apart, collapsed,
Sure.
whatever, it'll just take and run like basically a PVC line through it. It'll just burst through the clay, follow on the same line, and you've got a new PVC line that's solid,
Mm.
but you don't have to dig anything up.
Replacing the clay
Right.
and
Right.
just using it
You're
as
just
a
using,
shell.
basically using the raceway of the clay line that's failed to run another line in it. And it speeds up the process. It's a good purchase. I mean, it's a good piece of equipment.
Just needs to be used.
Right. Just needs to
Yeah.
be utilized.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
Interesting. I'd like to see that process
Yeah.
in action.
We've
Yeah.
talked a lot about pipe laying.
We have today.
Last time we talked about digging the big with like 9-foot pipes they're doing.
Yep.
How they get them under the highway. I'd
Wow.
like to watch that.
Yeah. That's that big water line coming down 78. That is
It's impressive,
something. That is big.
Mhm.
My goodness.
Yeah, Leonard. Well, Leonard's the hub of North Texas water right
It's a
now, guys.
Big deal too.
No, it's a huge thing.
So how much do you know about this plant that's coming in? Like what's the scoop there?
It's just increasing the water capacity for the 13 member cities that have bought into the North Texas Municipal Water District, and so all your larger cities are the one that's footing the bill for it, basically.
Is there a completion date on that out there?
If there is, I'm not sure what it is, but they're getting close. I know I have a neighbor that is currently working for a general contractor that's doing work out there, and he says his particular phase of the contract's coming to a close.
Wow. Interesting. That's that's going to bring what 500 jobs and people. I mean,
Yeah, and I hope they're able to hire some people
Local.
from local.
Yeah.
Typically, in a deal like that, though, they'll
yeah.
you know how it works.
Well, there'll probably be a shakedown crew for sure. I mean, it's
Mhm,
a big old.
But it's definitely an opportunity for employment for local people too.
That should
if
be
they,
like
if they're
shift
interested.
work too, like all
Yeah.
shifts, like
Yeah,
all day
sure.
long.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and even if it's not just the highly technical jobs out there, there's going to be second and third order effects of that. I mean, that's going to bring in more people. So Lee's is going to get bigger. So there might be another restaurant that pops up that needs more waiters and waitresses, and so it's a good thing.
Oh,
Maybe-
it's
maybe a hotel.
Yeah,
Sure, it's good.
I've heard that.
What about a hotel?
I've heard that there's a hotel.
You know anything about a hotel?
Haven't heard that one.
Really?
No, I have not.
Yeah, I have. I've heard that.
Okay, well, we'll have to talk afterwards.
Yeah.
After this, you're gonna have to spill the tea.
You're sitting in the lobby.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I wish.
It's awesome.
Yeah, we talked about doing a historic hotel.
Y'all
type thing.
do throw out some ideas.
Oh,
don't
Yeah,
you?
we do.
There
I
is-
like it.
There is no idea too out there for us.
I like
you
it.
know? So I think
A
you answered-
rundown hotel was the original idea. Just a really ratty hotel.
we're going to offer you a very unique experience.
Mhm.
It's called the Boiler Room.
I think you answered this on the questionnaire, and we kind of already got to this because I asked about a magic wand. But if you got a $1 million grant, yeah, that's kind of the magic wand. That's that would be the magic wand.
That's it. That's it.
That
That'd
cures
be
a lot of
it.
ills.
That'd be
Limited.
it.
How much does stuff cost? Like how much does
that
$1
that
million
that's
probably
gonna-
won't
that's
stretch?
gonna-
Take
No,
that a different
no.
way. How much does $1 million get you
Yeah.
when you're looking at plumbing or
for municipality,
yeah, it's not going to
it
get you too far.
helps. It's definitely it would
Yeah, it's still $1
definitely
million.
help.
Yeah.
Right. It would definitely help, but it's not gonna fix.
What kind of
everything.
project can you really take on with $1 million budget?
Pave a couple streets.
Yeah, you can get some. You know.
Probably
You
get
some
Main Street
streets
square.
done. You would. Again, I don't even want to go out there and say
Yeah.
sure.
No,
on
I
the
mean,
air
yeah.
because that stuff has to be bid out, or
Mhm.
right.
you have to look at your if you can do it in house, and so there's a lot of things that you have to look
And
at.
a
But
down
I know it's
economy.
very expensive. I know it's very expensive building schools,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and that's to just us. That's a lot of money, right?
Right.
But on the grand scheme of things, for a municipality or a school district, no,
Not
it's
much.
not. It's not much.
Yeah. Wow. $1 million isn't what it used to be, is it?
It ain't.
No, it's not.
So, what neighborhood do you live in? I'm unfamiliar.
So where Spring Market is in
Yep.
Domino's, Trinity Street's runs between it. So
Gotcha.
I don't know what neighborhood that would be called. It's just the
Yeah.
Trinity Street neighborhood. That's what
You
we
want to
call it.
name it officially right now?
Would that be your first act?
You want to
act
name your
of-
neighborhood?
Yeah, of councilman if
well,
elected.
No, that really
Uh,
hasn't even entered my mind.
Twin Ponds,
Yeah.
Meadow Grove,
Yeah.
Well,
Pheasant Run,
we'll work on that.
Meandering Way.
So, how long you said this earlier? How long have you lived there?
At this current residence,
Mm-hmm.
a little over 20 years now.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you're settled in then.
Yeah,
You know where your light
the
switches
children
are.
have been raised and they've flown the nest. So,
Yeah. So what are some of the places in town you like to spend time at?
well, of course, all the restaurants.
Yeah.
We like eating out.
Yeah.
So we go there quite a bit. I like our square. That's unique. I mentioned that earlier. I like the parks.
Yeah.
Gotta ask y'all a question.
Uh-huh.
Does this town need 2 parks or 1?
I personally think one good one. Personally,
I mean the one we have I think is good. I
Are
think
we-
it could be better.
is there 2
Well,
Kiwanis?
you said the one we have.
Yeah, you're talking about
Oh,
Kiwanis
sorry.
too?
We have
Oh
2.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So
I'm thinking
let me give
different.
you my opinion.
Yeah.
Yep.
Small town, not a lot of resources.
Yeah.
Can we afford 2 parks to maintain, sustain? My answer to that is no.
Right.
I would like to see put into 1 park
Convergent.
and use all of our resources to make it great.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this pool down here is unique
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
to Leonard.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And
just
that's why I said I think
water,
we need to focus
that
on
water that water feature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Move the ball fields and everything for the youth down there.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've got the running trail or jogging trail, exercise trail. Needs some improvement.
Sure.
Yep.
All right, we need to do some work there. Those are some of the things that taxpayers.
Well, you could sell that land too at Kiwanis,
Yeah, I'm not sure. At one time,
City owns all Aquinas.
Yes.
I assume.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's city park. It's and there's been talk about putting some.
Great Wolf Lodge.
Not that hotel.
Yeah, that's good. Hey,
You never-
Swing for the fences, man.
Hey, you never know. We got a North Texas Municipal Water District right down there. Could get another
Right.
line ran over there, and we have all the water to do it. But no, on a serious note, the city owns that, and it could be used for other city facilities or
Mhm.
whatever the case may be there.
Yeah.
Move all the ball fields down here. Let's have everything at our one great park, and let's improve on what we have.
Right.
That's kind of my thoughts when it comes to Parks and Rec. But again, that's a little further down the priority list.
Sure, yeah.
Than my main platform for running.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you're probably going to get some pushback on that just because some people don't like change, and I don't disagree with you. I think knock it down, either use it for other stuff or sell it and use the capital elsewhere, but converge everything into that one park.
I agree with
really
you.
Nice.
There's going to be people that don't like change, but it's a little easier to swallow when it's positive change.
Absolutely. And they'll get over it.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you see a positive change, we're improving the ball fields from which we just moved from what's considered the Kiwanis Park, and make it much better. There's
that
go
over easier.
Yeah, I'd hate to see it go too. I coached you guys down there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
So there's some sentimental value to the park itself for the people that have lived here and stayed in this area.
I coached my kids there a couple years ago.
But it maybe time to make some memories at a new
City
place,
Park's
right?
got a lot of potential.
It does.
There's a lot of it's right there on the highway, which is
Mhm.
cool. You can see it coming in and out.
Got
It looks
the water
nice.
feature, and so people coming through and seeing the lights and everybody down there. I mean,
When was the water feature put in like that?
originally,
Not like recently when it was restored. So it wasn't always like that, right?
No,
It's been a while,
it wasn't.
though.
It was Ducks Unlimited came in,
Really?
and they invested in that. I'm not sure what
How does that work?
they
Probably
just
had some grant money.
they
needed to spend
they did. It was an investment for them, for the ducks to stop over.
Yeah, well, they do. I see the
Yeah.
Canadian
And-
geese all there.
And there
all the
was
time.
some sort of a contract that they did sign with the city.
Wow.
I'm not sure the terms and conditions of it.
How do you get more of that stuff?
Yeah, we got to find that
Uh,
I mean,
out.
that's an
just
interesting way of
sure,
improving
That's
your
just
city.
That's just a private group.
Yeah.
And they,
They're
How
big,
do you
though.
pop up on their radar? I mean, it's kind of what I'm asking.
You can go to their conferences. They have like conferences and whatnot. You can become like you and I could become a member of Ducks Unlimited and go. It's just like
I wouldn't have
anything
known
else.
they did anything like that. So
Yeah. I mean, I did know they did stuff like that, but I didn't
You
ever
wouldn't
think
put it
about it
together.
to Leonard.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not sure of the terms and conditions of what they
Yeah. They actually own Leonard now.
put into, right? But
Yeah.
I always thought that strip of property right there would be a great place for a cool place for restaurants.
Yep.
Mhm.
With a deck on the back overlooking that water.
Right.
But I'm not sure that due to the terms and conditions of maybe the environmental contract of
Sure.
Ducks Unlimited with ducks, if that's going to prevent them from stopping over if you start building up on it or what. But they probably have some sort of stipulations in there for that.
At some point, as Leonard continues to grow, talking about the parks and stuff, Frisco has all those like splash pads and stuff, and at some point, I mean, we're not ready for that yet. But
That's
I'd
one
love to
thing
see-
I've envisioned probably being brought up at some point if it hasn't already. I don't even
Well,
know.
I mean, I'd love to see something. I mean, fiscally speaking, you have to just determine whether that's an expense you want to take on just yet. But for the kids, and having a pool or something to go to, they don't really have anything like that now.
I did receive it. When you're running for council, you receive questions like that. And one of the questions was, what are you going to do for the youth of this town?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's nothing for
That's
them to
an
do.
important question.
And it is.
Yeah.
And it is, right? And so those are some of the things that you look at your resources, you look at your financial position, and you in your short-term plan or maybe fit it into your long-term plan, depending on how much this stuff costs. We just talk about the expensive things.
Yeah.
You may spend, $1 million on a splash park.
Yeah.
There may be some grants out there, though, that can assist you and supplement the local tax dollar to put something like that in.
What's that operating expense, though, year after year?
And you
Right.
and you have to operate it, you have to maintain it, and you have to sustain it. So it's just not a one-time thing that you look at, and it may be for a city town this size, it may be something that needed to be put on a long-range plan. I know the people that live here are looking for it on a short range, but financially speaking,
May
it's
not be
probably
viable.
going to be more realistic on a long-range plan.
Yeah. True. I wonder what, when you get those questions like, what are you going to do for the youth of this town? I'd like to see, we've done some toy drive stuff, but I'd like to see some of the businesses in town get together and stuff, because that really is, I mean, it's extremely important. I think, my dad always said he was glad that I like playing sports, because when you don't play sports, you get into trouble. you got time, you get into trouble and all that. And I got into plenty of that too. But, there was a lot of times I was at basketball practice, I'd like to see some programs come up. Maybe that's not even, I'm spouting off the head here. That might not be city stuff, but we ought to think about that some. So.
I'm not sure that it's city stuff either,
Yeah.
but we can definitely encourage that movement and work with other.
And be accommodating.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe, back in the day when I was growing up in the Louisville area, the thing that other than athletics, they had a skating rink.
Yeah.
Right.
And we went to that skating rink, and
Yeah.
Friday night, that's where we were at.
Yeah.
That's where all your friends were at. And so, again, but that's not a city thing. That's a more of a private business type thing that you would have to encourage someone to invest in and bring it here. COVID, the pandemic.
That's what we do up here on Friday nights is skate around this big old building.
It's just Matthew and I.
Come on up here. Anytime you see the,
Yeah.
whenever you see the
elbow pads,
the disco ball going, you know Kokomo's playing.
No, I think I can knock the dust off the skates, and I still have it. You
Hey,
see me up here.
when you moved here, you said you're 17, right?
Right.
The kids hang out on the square.
Absolutely.
Why does that not happen?
I don't know, but I'm sure probably some local businesses
did your
like
boys
Matthew
Do
appreciate
the square?
it. No.
No. They're
But we did.
yeah, but they were already done with the square by the time they went through.
No, yeah, it
Well-
faded out. I don't know. I don't know. It was great.
I still must be a kid at heart. Like, we came out and hung out here the other day, and we're like, why is there no one here?
I know,
it's
right?
Friday night.
It's great.
So
Yeah, we'd get out there and play our music and
Yeah.
just hang out, and the police officers knew exactly where we were at.
they were usually sitting right over there.
Yeah, right.
It's like,
They had an eye on us the whole time, whether we saw them or not.
yeah.
But no, it faded out. I think backroading kind of took its place.
They don't do that anymore.
That faded out too.
Yeah, there used to be. I won't call it out on the podcast, but there's a couple places that we used to go, and for years after, there was always somebody there. Not anymore. I go check it out. I'm a big fan of backroad.
We make sure everybody gets home okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
But I don't understand.
That's
I'm
responsible.
Like,
I appreciate that.
where
They're
do
duty.
the kids hang out? Because they're not at where we used to hang out, and they're not on the square.
Yeah.
I don't understand where they're at. It's kind of weird.
They play a lot of video games. these days.
It's the virtual world now, man.
They
That's
play
what
a
it
lot of
always
video.
comes
They're
down
in the
to.
house playing video games, so that's probably a safe place too.
I guess. I don't know. Hurts my
Hey,
feelings.
let me ask you
a little
guys a
bit.
question. I said I do a lot of listening to certain on certain topics
Mhm.
more than I talk. I've got my own opinion about this topic. Ambulance service.
I'm for it personally. I mean, I know it's failed a couple times out here, but I think it's a noble goal for sure. And anytime you get the opportunity to do it, I mean, hey, getting an ambulance here right now is a chore. So I know if my grandmother fell down and broke her hip and was laying there, I'd want an ambulance there pretty fast. So that's my opinion.
What about you, Matt?
I'm probably not educated on it enough. What I understand is there's long ambulance times, response times, right?
Yeah. Yes,
The way it is now coming
Currently.
from Bonham, right?
Right,
Mhm.
that's correct.
And I do understand there is a problem between private ambulance and a public funded
Yeah,
ambulance?
like a fire service or
and the
something.
laws are where you can't cross this and that. That's where I'm not clear on and what the whole issue is on it.
So I wanted to clear up some things that people may have heard incorrectly. I'm for the ambulance service.
Sure.
I agree with everything everyone just said.
Yep.
But I don't agree with the way it was handled or proposed.
Sure.
The county commissioner came to the city council and said, in 30 days, we're going to have an ambulance service, and we want it over here in Leonard. It needs to be in Leonard for Precinct 2 to, improve on the response times. Now this is unbudgeted. And
But that's a city expense.
yes. Now, this is for Precinct 2. It's just not for the city of Leonard. Let's make sure everybody understands that. It's going to be housed here in Leonard, but they didn't have nowhere to house them. So they went to the city of Leonard to lease a facility to house it.
Well,
Okay? I'm all for that. But the problem that I have with it is there needed to be more negotiating with other taxing entities in Precinct 2 because they're going to benefit from it as well. So the Leonard taxpayer, let me throw this out there.
Where is Precinct 2?
It goes from basically, I may be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure the Randolph area back to Trenton, back this way towards Leonard.
Got it. How many precincts
kinda,
are there? 4 or 5, I'm guessing. I don't know.
That's a good question too.
12.
I thought there was
70? Jeez.
I thought there was 4.
Yeah, I think there is. I think
I
there's
could
4.
be wrong.
Yeah.
But anyway, so my thing on the Leonard taxpayer, if you're a Leonard taxpayer like me, so you're paying city taxes, correct?
Yep.
All right. That city tax, part of that tax goes towards funding our volunteer fire department.
Yeah.
Okay. Which they do a fabulous job. They do a great job. And they're Johnny on the spot.
Sure.
When that call goes out, those guys are on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're not fighting fires in Wolf City.
Correct.
Right.
And although they may not be able to do everything that a paramedic on an ambulance can do, there's certain things that they can do when they get there on site that could save a life.
Absolutely.
And they have saved lives.
Yeah.
Okay. So think about that for a second. The Leonard taxpayer, portion of that goes towards that service already, right? The Leonard taxpayer also pays a county tax. That portion of that county tax goes towards the county ambulance service that they're responsible for providing for Precinct 2. So now the Leonard taxpayer is paying for it twice.
Right.
Right.
And then the county commissioner comes to the council and wants the Leonard taxpayer to fund the house to store them in, to place them in.
Mm-hmm.
And if this 5-year contract, if it makes it 5 years, will cost the Leonard taxpayers $120,000 on that lease, and we don't even own the building.
Mm.
So that's the situation is tough for me to swallow.
No, I agree.
It's definitely needed.
Mm-hmm.
That's the elephant in the room. It's how you're going to get there financially. And when I present it like that to people, they tend to raise their eyebrows a little bit and say,
Right.
how can we negotiate a little more with other entities to help fund the cost of this?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
You know,
how many taxable entities are there in this precinct, and split that stuff up? You know?
I mean, that's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah, I mean that's my. I've heard it presented that way. So my initial thought is, no, I agree. I'd like to mull on it, you know. But that seems.
I thought where the building we're leasing is right next to Quick Check, and I thought that the county lot, I guess you could say, the property right there where they could build a facility there, the county, maybe the city, other entities in Precinct 2 can contribute to that facility on the county's property
Right.
to house the ambulance, and it's there. It's done.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, something's going to be needed even more once the treatment facility and now
Well, there's
is up and
been
going, right? Or
several calls out there already for workplace, construction injuries.
Yeah.
And
Let's
you
see
know
if we can
they
get
they
them
were
to throw
negotiating.
in.
They were I know that there was some negotiations with
they've probably
them,
done their own thing.
but it fell through.
Hmm.
So it's not that they didn't try,
Yeah. Just
but
didn't work out.
it just hasn't worked out yet. And that's
Sure.
not to say that it can't work out in the future too. It was just something that the county had to do quickly.
Yeah.
And basically, it's the city of Bonham that's going to be coming over here.
Yeah.
It's and they've actually adding a ambulance or two to their fleet and coming over here and servicing Precinct 2.
Mm.
The 2 times before it failed, it was private.
Yeah.
It wasn't a public entity. They weren't making enough money,
Mm-hmm.
and so they pulled out.
Sure. That makes sense.
And that's been the whole problem. I'm optimistic that this is going to work out. I just hope that
Just needs some adjustment.
I just hope that they're making enough money to where they can stay.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
That wraps our questions up. You brought that up. I wouldn't have thought to. Glad you did. Do you have anything else that you'd like to touch
Well,
on?
hey,
or?
We need to do it.
Yeah, we got 5 questions.
Yeah,
too.
we actually have 5 more questions.
I've heard about this.
Yeah.
I've heard other. Yeah.
Have we left anything off or anything you want to clear up?
No, I
or
think you guys have
mention?
done a great job getting the information out there to the people. I want to let the people know that Friday early voting closes,
Yep.
and Tuesday get out there and vote for Noel Nixon. I'll work hard for you.
There you go. We got some 5 questions. coming up. I think we
I-
might have some
I may
more
or may
Leonard.
not have the 5 answers. We'll see.
We probably have a lot of Leonard-focused questions.
I just pulled out 3 here, so. All right,
This is a good one.
Is it?
Let's kick it off here.
All right.
When's the last time you pledged allegiance to the United States flag?
The last time.
Trying to think of mine now.
He's having to think he's a
No,
communist.
it was Monday.
No, okay.
Ooh, okay.
No, that's
It was
never mind.
it
I'm
was-
a communist.
It was Monday.
Yeah.
I work in an education facility.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
And so I was there on a maintenance item that I was looking at,
Mhm.
and they play it over the PA.
Yep.
And so had to stop and pledge allegiance.
Cool.
So, yeah, it was Monday.
I do remember mine now. Jeep Beach Jam at in Panama City Beach. They do it like at the beginning of the show. I didn't know what was going on because I couldn't hear it. Nobody could hear it, and everybody's just kind of like, "Oh crap!" Taking their hats off and getting And then finally, I was like the last one. Everybody's like looking at me like, "Come on, dude,
Yeah.
take your hat off."
I didn't pledge the allegiance, but I was at drill last month and got caught outdoors at 8 a.m. and had to salute the flag while they played the national anthem. So,
There you go.
close enough.
Take it.
Right.
When was the last time you were on a boat? Going with the last time theme.
The last time I was on a boat, I was with my neighbor, Bill Little. He's up in Detroit working, freezing his.
Ooh, it's cold
Little,
here.
yeah.
Can't imagine what it
No,
is in
it's-
Detroit.
He's not digging it too much.
No.
But he has a great boat, and we went out on Lake Texoma together.
No,
Cool.
nice.
Had a
What,
good time.
when was that?
That was back in July.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. You're up. Matthew,
Have you ever had a surprise party thrown for you,
I don't think I have.
I don't know that I have.
or any sort of surprise party?
No,
I don't
No.
think I've had a
no,
surprise
I never.
party.
I never have. Obviously, if I did, it didn't make a great impression.
Oh,
man.
But no,
your
I
wife's
never,
going.
Yeah,
You
I
don't
never
remember your 33rd birthday?
5 in a row.
Yeah, 5. Yeah, 5.
Have. Right.
If your birth state was a food, what would it be? That can go one of 2 ways, in my opinion. Just my opinion.
Is it a type of food or just specific?
What state was it? You're born in Texas?
Whatever.
Yeah,
No
okay.
wrong
Texas.
answers.
What's Texas summarized in a food?
Brisket. Chili.
Probably a safe bet. Chili
Yeah.
or brisket.
Yeah, I'm thinking barbecue, brisket.
Yeah.
But barbecue of some variety.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tex-Mex is right there. I
Yeah.
like some
I'll
Tex-Mex.
give you that.
I'll take that too. Matter of fact, when we were in Colorado this year, we were told to go eat Mexican at this one place, and we were like, I don't know, this is north of Denton. I've heard that song. Anyway, we went. It was fantastic.
No kidding.
Yes,
good
I was
news.
like, we can get good Tex-Mex here.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Let's move.
Question 4.
You're up.
Is that 4 or 5? Have you ever painted your face or body for a sporting event?
No.
No?
No.
Wrong answer. No.
I can't say that I have either.
Yeah, no.
I haven't done that, James. You?
No, I haven't. I'd like to, maybe one time. Like
Hey,
That guy.
go to the Mavs game.
I
try
did.
it.
I
Right.
did used to do this thing where I'd always get a poster board before I went to a sporting event, and I'd write like if it was on TBS, I'd incorporate the
TBS,
TB
huh?
or S or whatever channel.
Yeah.
I'd incorporate their logo into the phrase "pathetic attempt to get on TV," and I'd just try to get on TV that way.
Nice.
I did it at Boston Garden.
Any success?
I played at the halftime show.
He played
On the court.
knockout at
Yeah.
Boston Garden.
Yes, that's
I was
very successful.
Matt Bagnell and I were second row.
Completely
We
sober
couldn't
too.
buy first row. We bought second row tickets, and the mascot went in like by the tunnel right next to ours.
Somehow,
Our seats,
Becknell on you on the second row, and
Yeah.
getting on TV doesn't surprise me much.
Yeah, well, it wasn't necessarily TV, but it was the halftime show
Oh,
at Boston Garden.
okay,
So,
okay.
and I got knocked out by a girl.
I think I got a phone call that night. And I was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
yeah."
Wait, you got knocked out by a girl? I don't know if I
yeah.
told
That
on the air.
Matt would not let me live that down. If he was here, he'd tell me that. So you got knocked out by a girl too.
Mhm.
All right. I think this is the last one.
All right.
Name something everyone should try at least once.
Whoa.
Yeah. brisket. No.
I was gonna say-
chili. Mexican
I was
food
gonna
in
say
Colorado.
Mexican food is the first thing I thought of. Tex-Mex.
A cruise to Alaska.
Ah,
All right.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm on
That's a
board
good
with that.
answer.
I'm on board with that.
What do you think, Matthew?
LASIK surgery.
Yeah.
If you're
If
if
you're-
you're if you're of bad eyesight,
Yeah.
Can you get
that's-
LASIK for like farsighted?
if you're young, probably.
So like I need readers to.
yeah, once you're over
so
40,
LASIK doesn't work for.
once you're past 40, but like if you have the opportunity or bad eyesight young, that's my thing to do.
Mm.
It's so lame, but such a life improvement, like quality of life improvement.
Yeah. I don't know. Cliche, but skydiving's up there, man.
Mm-hmm.
Did that 180-foot rappel in Moab, which was gnarly. Anything that makes you scared, go do it.
It is some repelling, but
Yeah.
I just can't see myself jumping out of a perfectly good airplane. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can.
I like it.
I've watched myself do it.
Yeah, I've done it
On
several
video.
times. Yeah, I've
I like
enjoyed
that
it.
stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. Anyway, I think that about wraps it up.
Yep. Any last word?
Nope. I just appreciate you guys having me on and spreading the word, and hope everybody gets out there and votes, not just in the local election, but the general.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Flex your plex.
That's it.
Vote.
That's it.
All right. Thank
All
you
right.
very much. Noel
Thanks,
Nixon.
guys.
Thanks.